I wish I had something witty to say for an intro, but truly I don't. I'm in shock. Bruins win 4-1 over the Montreal Canadiens, and while the story of this game will probably be more of, talking about Montreal's collapse without Carey Price, and while that won't take away from what the Bruins have done, whether as a team in the past 3 games, individual players turning it on, I think rightfully so, the story of this game is how Montreal is falling apart. Of course, I'll get into every goal itself and talk about individual players like I normally do, but it's weird to say that Montreal is falling apart, especially when they outshot the Bruins 39-24. The Bruins didn't necessarily outplay Montreal in this game, but yet the story continues to be how Montreal is falling apart, and if you've really needed evidence of that at any point, look at Max Talbot's goal in the first period. I can't remember the last time, maybe aside from the blip on the radar of a season that was, I think, 2013, when they ended up drafting Alex Galchenyuk 3rd overall. I can't remember the last time a Montreal team has played defense so poorly. Max Talbot gets a breakaway. It goes off the pad of Condon, thrown right back to him, and he snipes the goal. What is more surprising about that statement? Max Talbot on a breakaway? Or Max Talbot sniping the goal, the turnover? I don't even know. It's that insane to think that this Montreal team will let up a play like that. Second period, Mark Barberio would get his first goal in nearly a year for Montreal. Obviously his first of the season. Desharnais working along the sideboard. Subban gets it over to Barberio on a beautiful one-timer. Almost would have thought that it would have been a power play. But at the backbreaker, imagine this. The backbreaker in this game came from a Bruins player. Normally in these games against Montreal, the backbreaker is always some, just weird, unlucky bounce. Like look at the David Desharnais goal from the game at TD Garden not too long ago. It would always be in favor of Montreal. But David Pastrnak throws a puck on, hits the side of the net. Bergeron gets it around the back and tucks it on a wraparound, his 18th of the year. You can criticize Rask if you want. You can criticize pretty much anybody on this team. But I think more than ever, Patrice Bergeron is a strong candidate for the MVP. He is the most valuable player to this Bruins team. And again, while I'll say Tuukka Rask is right up there with him, because my God, I wouldn't want to see this team without Rask. Bergeron has been the heart and soul of this team. Obviously, the future captain, deservingly so. And unfortunately, from this point on, the video or the audio might seem disjointed, simply put, because if you've seen the most recent GMO video I put up, I talked about how I was having more tech issues, and this episode as well was no exception, as I lost some audio. But essentially, the Max Talbot goal was just insane to see Andrei Markov turn over that puck, and it was a hell of a snipe from Talbot, who's playing better. The fourth line was great in this game. Mark Barberio gets a goal back to tie it in the second period. Hell of a play, hell of a slap shot from Barberio. Gets his first goal in over a year. Bergeron would get the goal back. Pasta throws it on, hits the side of the net. Bergeron hits Condon with the wraparound, and then Pasta gets his own in the third period on a wraparound. A great dump and chase by Morrow. Great effort by Ronaldo, who's stepping up lately, and I never would have thought I would have said, hey, yeah, good performance from Ronaldo and Talbot after what we saw at the Winter Classic. And then, of course, the empty netter from Brad Marchand. Perfect. His 17th of the year. So again, Bergeron now at 18 goals, Marchand at 17, and Louis Eriksson gets his 23rd assist of the year. The only person really missing from the score sheet that you would expect to see there, Ryan Spooner. But regardless, the Bruins get a gigantic 4-1 win at Bell Center. As far as negatives go, 0 for 3 on the power play. They are now second in the league in terms of power play percentage, Washington overtaking them. But of course, when you're second to Washington in power play percentage by a tenth, 1/10 of a point, 27.1 to 27%, nothing to be ashamed of, especially with Washington playing as well as they are. They've only lost 12 times all season, 8 in regulation. Insane. And of course, third place in terms of power play is Chicago at 22.3. So that just shows you how deadly the Boston power play has been this year. And of course, the penalty kill has really come back strong too. Montreal 0 for 5 on their power play tonight. So a hell of a performance by this team. And most surprising of all, as you look at the standings, obviously in these recaps I've talked about how, obviously, goes without saying, the Bruins have missed a lot of opportunities to get up towards the top of the Atlantic Division, but they are in a very good spot at the moment. It's Florida, Detroit, and Tampa, 57, 54, and 54 points respectively. Boston at 53. They have a game in hand on both Florida and Tampa Bay, so plenty of time to continue to trend upwards. And as for the wild card spot, Boston in number 1, it's New Jersey in number 2. Montreal has now fallen out of a playoff spot, which is unreal. Absolutely unreal. And again, that's going to be the story more than anything. The fact that Montreal have lost 17 of 21 games since they started the season at 19-4-3 is absolutely insane. And of course, just surprising in general that the Bruins win after losing in the Winter Classic. Montreal have lost 5 in a row since the Winter Classic, which is just insane. I just can't understate, and of course that's going to be the big narrative really in the NHL. You know, over in the Western Conference, you can talk about Chicago winning 12 in a row, but I think the big surprise is Montreal. They really wanted to prove. You knew deep down inside this team wanted to prove that they were more than just a team that was supported by Carey Price, especially with some of the amazing talent Montreal has. But they haven't been able to beat that narrative. Andrei Markov is playing like a fucking AHL call-up, especially on that turnover on the first goal from Max Talbot. Mike Condon, who started off really hot, the team just doesn't seem to have confidence in him. They don't have Tokarski anymore. Ben Scrivens is the backup. It's just amazing that with the hot start Condon had to fall now to a 12-12-4 record, Montreal struggling as much as they have. Whether or not management, coaches, whatever, get fired, who knows? And obviously I'd be lying if I said I wasn't kind of enjoying seeing Montreal implode like this. But it's just so shocking to see that this team really can't get it done without Carey Price. Now, yes, when I say that, obviously Dustin Tokarski gave them a hell of a playoff run in the past, and that team really rose to the occasion there. But guys like Gallagher and Pukanich being -3, Pacioretty -3, Yamelin, depends on how you want to pronounce it. But regardless, he and Subban both -2. Just to see certain players on this team underperform is shocking. But in retrospect, the Bruins, was that the right segue? I don't know. I don't care. I'm not ending this. The Bruins continue to have certain players really step up. Now, Jimmy Hayes didn't exactly have the best game tonight, but again, he's doing relatively well. Brett Connolly continues to make a positive impact on the ice. Again, not exactly scoring goals, but he's there. Louis Eriksson continuing to do what he's done all season, having his best season as a Bruin, and now with talks that they are renegotiating a deal. That is huge. Obviously, if the Bruins weren't in a playoff spot, he would be out the door for whatever they could get for him, but it's going to be great to see Louis stick around, especially if he can perform like this. A lot of people are nervous that it might be too big of a risk because he hasn't really proved that he can do this consistently in a Boston uniform. And that's my question to you already. What do you think of the Louis Eriksson talks? Would you like to see him stay here? What is the max amount of money you would like to see him stay here for? Obviously anything over 3 or 4 million, probably anything over 4 million. A lot of people are going to be nervous, but that contract very well could hit that point. Max Talbot, another big player who is stepping up, had an abysmal start to January, of course, was horrendous in the Winter Classic. Really turning it on now in the past couple of games. Good to see him do that. Zach Ronaldo, too, on the fourth line, having a positive impact, giving a hell of a lot of effort in the limited amount of ice time he gets. And of course the usual suspects. Matt Bolesky worked his ass off, as he always does. 6 hits, contributing. Even though he's not on the score sheet, you know he's there. Bergeron doing what he does. Joonas Kemppainen just kind of holding it down like you would like to see him do. And then obviously, like I said, Ryan Spooner didn't really do too much, but Pasternak, Miller, and even Vatrano, who was a little bit more noticeable. 8 hits for him, which is shocking for a guy his size. Whether or not, again, he sticks around. Landon Ferraro injured made it very easy to pick who Pasternak would return into the lineup for. Whether or not it's Ronaldo, Talbot, Vatrano, who gets scratched, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever if it's Vatrano. And then, of course, Tuukka Rask, 38 of 39 saves, gets beat on a shot that 99.9% of keepers can't stop on their best day, so no fault there. So for the meantime, the optimism is back. A little bit of a rough start to the month of January, but now you have 4 games left. Vancouver on Thursday, of course not exactly having the finest season, nor the Columbus Blue Jackets, who they play on Saturday. A rematch against Philly on Monday, and Anaheim on Tuesday. You get a nice little break at the end of the month. So very easily, this could end up winding up being, that wasn't English either, I don't care, too much excitement. This very well could be a great month for the Bruins, and it needs to be. I don't know if you guys have seen the schedule for the month of February. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of hockey. So it's a mad dash to the end of the season, but hopefully we get games like this more often than not. Again, let me know what you think of the Louis Eriksson negotiations. Would you like to see him stay? Would you like to see him go? Honestly, lean towards wanting him to stay because there's not too much else better out there on the market right now anyway. But that is it for this one, guys. Thank you very much for watching or listening. Again, the way this is formatted right now is probably best in kind of a podcast form. Open it in a new tab, browse Reddit, do whatever the hell you want. Go to r/Bruins if you want to. That's not the exact link, but hey, you'll find it if you want to. Regardless, if you've enjoyed, leave a like down below, subscribe for more. Of course, recaps after every single game, and I will see you all next time.